up with the camera being so low today? That's not helping the cause. What up? The camera's mad low. What is this about? Okay. Something happened? Who messed up my tape? This don't make no sense. Why the camera's so low? There we go. A little better. Jeez. A little better here. Let's crack a lacking. Hang it tight with me, y'all. I don't know why my setup then got altered. Here we go. A little better. Cut off my head a little bit. Yeah, what's good, family? What's good? What's good? Per usual, doing my little impromptu TV review for Lovecraft Country. A little late on the entry this time. I was busy last night, so I wasn't trying to do an immediate response. Peace, peace. What's going on? Hello, hello. How y'all feeling? I'll give it a couple minutes per usual. Wait a few minutes, see who else want to catch it live. This one's gonna be pretty short because again, Dreamwise, Love Lift Life, name of that channel. He covers the same material, and his breakdown for the show last night was ridiculously on point. He saw a whole bunch of things that I didn't even see. He caught me on some stuff. I was like, okay, like the subtle little details. Yesterday's episode was really human, and I mean that's fine, of course, but it was really just attacking more human level stuff as opposed to the astral spiritual level stuff. But even still, the profundity of the images being given are ridiculous. So yeah, so give it a few minutes here. Give it a couple seconds. I'll start officially at 3 minutes, so I just got a few seconds here. So yeah, with Lovecraft Country, this particular episode, they're really they're actually really showing you how much of this matrix we're in is a game and that we are actually being controlled and played with. And they showed it in real time with the show itself. Like they really are just blatantly putting it in our face that the masses are being controlled and the masses are being influenced, and the cultural norms that we adhere to are the things that are creating all of these traumas that our community, black community, and at large, any other community, just American community is experiencing. But of course, for the melanated folks, it is specific in the particular psychological attacks, like they say spiritual attack, that we endure. And this particular episode, it went directly to the first level, which is where all of this stuff starts at, the human level. So getting right into it though, they just this particular focus on the show is actually focused on black women. Of course, the show as a whole is about black people, but this particular episode was very black female oriented, melanated female oriented. And it was very poignant because they're really showing how the biggest influence or of control where it comes from. Because a lot of times, they'd be like, oh, the men are messed up and they got the men, blah, 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 blah. And we need to fix the men and this, that, and the third. Well, to be honest, and again, this isn't putting onus on anybody or anything, but if we're just going to be strictly direct with the spiritual continuum of how things are, it is the women who are the ones being diluted the worst by this culture and being influenced to be something that they're not. And because the women are being influenced to do so, that is actually the core problem. Now, again, I'm not attacking women. Like, listen, not get on that silly train. We're talking about the cultural attack and where it's aimed at and why. And so, given the backdrop, again, this show is showing us how we're being programmed by the masses. This isn't just an abstract thing with the Necronomicon and the, the mythology. No, they're actually directly showing us what America's doing. HBO has continuously been an agent for flagging, I guess, or giving a window look into what's actually happening. They did the same thing with Watchmen, the Watchmen show. If y'all watch that, everything in the Watchmen when it came out last year is happening right now. Um, yeah, literally everything that they put in that show is happening right now, and it was in a symbolic form that we may not have been able to see, but all of it's in play. All of it is in play. So with this one though, this show is really showing you how much they have this stuff wrapped up. Because if you watch the show it kicked off with Emmett Till. The show kicked off with Emmett Till. Now, when they make these shows in production of a TV show, especially something that's a mini series type of show like this, it takes a long time to produce these things. There's a lot of organization that takes place, a lot of planning. Most times these shows before they hit the airwaves, they've been in planning 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And yeah, and then for the production to just get to the screen to take place, that process is a year by itself. So the planning that goes into making these shows is very, very intricate. So by no coincidence, does this show premiere and have the topic of Emmett Till when it is the actual anniversary of Emmett Till. On top of that, culturally speaking, Breonna Taylor, her what is it? The whole the grand jury letting all the judges off. That was on the anniversary of Emmett Till. So we have Breonna Taylor happen on the Emmett Till stuff, and then the next episode of Lovecraft Country is about Emmett Till. There's no coincidence in how that happened. This is all organized and it's all planned for the timing. And so with this particular episode, with the whole Emmett Till, the whole focus is about the triggers for black women. The whole thing is about the triggers for black women, breaking it down. Because again, with this culture here that we're in, this American culture, we have to deal with the white American norms, the Eurocentric norms, and battling with those norms is what creates basically the human trauma for a lot of melanated people, right? And so dealing with these particular traumas, we have all of our different ways to try to matriculate through the culture, and where we try to do our best to get through this shit. But all of the different stop gaps and all of the different things that are in play are in the way. Those are the things that create all of these issues, or the roadblocks, or the emotional hangups. And so with the show, they were started off with the Emmett Till and black men's infatuation with white women. They start off with it like it's all about race. It's all about these human bodies and these interactions. For black women, it's a common concern or a common problem or a common commentary that they continuously complain about how brothers, soon as they get enough money in their pocket, soon as they get to another level of respect, soon as they get to something that gives them some form of esteem, they go run to white women. They whistle at white women, they put their hopes into white women, all of that type of stuff. Those are huge triggers for black women. Because black women, who are the nurturers, who are the baby carriers, who are, all of that type of stuff, they are the gateways for the ancestors. They find themselves in their human body mortally confused, betrayed, hurt, and don't understand why the men don't want to assist in bringing more ancestors through to the realm. It doesn't make any sense to them, and so it's causing a lot of trauma. And as well, just on the human form, it creates this whole aspect of distrust, hurt, the lack of being wanted. Big key there. We're going to find out. Talk about that in a second. The lack of being wanted. Essentially, the whole thing about protection and esteem, it all becomes put into question because the men of the community do not want to continue to recycle or to grow the DNA strand. They find themselves infatuated with a completely different DNA strand. It is only based on human infatuation. It doesn't show, at least initially, any type of spiritual concern to why that's taking place. So they put the big trigger on Emmett Till, and on top of the big trigger of Emmett Till and his infatuation with white women, you also have white dudes killing black men. So you have the trigger for I don't have love, I am unloved because the men want something else. And then you also have the other trigger of I am not protected. I am not being protected. See how they're throwing these symbols right at the ladies? The core things that women want are to be affirmed and to be protected. And you have Emmett Till, who was doing neither and got killed. Again, he's only a child, but the symbol and everything that he faces, we're going to see it continues on. So the whole thing with Emmett Till kicks off the episode, plays, like I said, directly into what's happening in America right now and all of the emotionalism that takes place. The emotions are the triggers. The emotions are the things that, for lack of a better term, the evildoers use to control the masses. We think, that they control us through, fear, they control us through guns, they control us through nukes and blah, 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 blah. Of course, those are elements of control, yeah. But the biggest control is the psyche and what they put into the brain. When they break your self esteem, when they break your self will, when they break your self worth, your feeling of self worth, they don't have to do anything else because it's already done. You're going to see more of these examples. I'm going to give you more. Um, so, so the whole thing happens with the young daughter, Hippolyta's youngest daughter. She gets apprehended by the police because Hippolyta left behind. She messed around and she left behind a piece of herself when she went on her astral plane. That's another thing too. He talks about if and when you die or when you leave out of this realm, if you haven't completed your work, if you haven't done whatever you felt like you were assigned to do, you're gonna leave back a marker, and that marker behind is gonna cause trouble for the people who are still in the realm with you. They're still gonna be dealing with the guilt, the wrestling of the weight, basically just dealing with the departure of the ancestor. But like I say, if the ancestor has unfinished business, that weight also is carried by the remaining individuals who are still on the realm. That's why when Hippolyta left the book by accident, I mean, she didn't even realize what was going on because she got sucked through the portal. But because she had the book left behind, that gave the agents that live on this realm direct access to go try to track her down, see where she went. Again, the same direct occult continuum where we know non-melanated people don't have no gateway to the other sides. And so when we do other side gateway activity, they try to grab and pick up the crumbs and try to see what they could do with it. That's why all the ancient scrolls are in the way that they are now. So she messed around and she left behind an artifact. She created trauma and messed around, trauma and tribulation for the people still on Earth. And so her daughter gets caught up. Her daughter gets caught up and she gets captured by the white man. And in that scene with the white man, he puts the spell on her, and then boom, she is now haunted by these two, these two crazy looking demons. The biggest symbol that we could take from this was the Uncle Tom's Cabin scene. When she walked into the bathroom and she locked herself in, she's trying to figure herself out. Let me take a half step back. Like I said, they did the magic on her, right? She had no idea what the hell was going on, but she knows she felt different and she was traumatized by what happened. She was traumatized by those two white men holding her down, saying the magic words on her. She thinking she gonna die, whatever. That trauma instance that she endured and that magic that they put on her, because again, the magic, they do magic and actual rituals on black folks and consciousness, which is why we do what we do. But again, the biggest magic that they do is with the imagery and setting up the cultural norms. So the dude did the magic on her, but the magic started to manifest through how we wrestle with today, black women's body issues. The Uncle Tom's Cabin book showed everything. First of all, the actual image of the Uncle Tom's Cabin book, it does show a pickaninny black woman looking all just messed up and in her worst possible way. But then after she had got the magic put on her, when she looked at that book with a messed up lens, that what was a pickaninny looked like a monster. Like that looked like a completely deplorable image of what a black woman is. And so that's how she saw herself. That's what she started to see about herself. That same issue is what black women wrestle with today. I mean, they've always wrestled with it before, but specifically where we are today, it is at an extreme level of intensity where the body image issues have, I don't know if it's say it reached a max or a climax or whatever, but it has reached a new level of boiling point, and a lot of women, black women, are out here crumbling through the body issues. I'll explain why, because we'll see. I might have to bring it all the way around because there's a continuum here. So, so the black girl has no idea that the white man has put a spell on her that has caused her to see herself as less than, as ugly, as non-worthy. Same thing here in America. Most black women do not see how this culture has devalued how they look, has devalued their whole personage, has devalued all of, the way that they do things. And in part two, it has actually turned us against ourselves, and our biggest, greatest strength. We'll see some more. Once the girl had the magic gun on, and she started to see those two little girls. All right, she started to see the demonic, devilish, scary pickaninnies, and she's running from them. As she was running from them, did you notice the juxtaposition of what they were doing? The the show itself, it's in, the 40s, 50s, whatever that time period is. But those girls were doing modern dances. Them girls was popping that wop the same way the girls would do so on Instagram right now. They weren't doing them little hoop-de-doo jigs, like in that one episode when a girl was in the white girl body, and when she was sitting in the back, she was doing 1940s dances with them. No, when you saw the black girl being chased by those two demons was doing the WAP. They was doing the current dance today. The reason why they were doing the current dance today is talking about one, they said the future. At the end of the episode, Tick said, yo, I went to the future. And he brought that book back. Those girls are a glimpse of the future, the now that we're currently residing in. We have a ton of black girls and women who are under this possession that they feel and think that they are ugly and that they are less than. And so they act out. They are acting out of this trauma. They are doing all of these extra sexualized dances, because again, that's not what they say, what it is, but all of the hypersexualization, all of the extreme makeovers in their looks. Like, you don't want to look nothing like an actual, what you were made to look like. You want to wear purple and fuchsia hair. Like, it's reached to the point to where you don't even want to put on natural human colors. You want to be seen and let me stop, because again, I have to get to it properly, because again, this isn't a diatribe on women for people who are coming in late. This is how the culture has messed women up. But the two, like I say, the two devilish girls, they were representations of what the mentality that a lot of black women have today. They have been taken over by the spell of this culture that has the Uncle Tom's Cabin all inside black women's minds. And and again, I'm not attacking black women, but if we be consistent about this, look at how the state of black women present themselves. How many black women cannot go outside without a wig on? They cannot go, to some space without covering their face and makeup. They cannot go without putting on that waist trainer. They cannot show a single person what their actual nappy head, God-made, melanated, gravity-defying hair looks like. They're ashamed of it because it doesn't look like everybody else's. Or they're ashamed of it because it is the same pickaninny image that old girl was wrestling with after the magic was done upon her. The cultural norms that we live in has made the white woman and straight dead hair the cultural norm. And so, because that is the norm, it has denigrated the self-image of black women. And black women used to fight against this image. Here we go. Black women used to fight against this image. They don't do so anymore. Again, if we looked at the juxtaposition of back then, we see all of those black women They started the process of conking their hair, perming their hair. That's the era when all of that stuff really started to kick in. This era that we're watching the show in. You know, the perming of the hair, the straightening of the hair, the softening of the image, all of that stuff. They did all of that stuff. Why? Because they needed to get jobs. They needed to become more valuable in America. They needed to make sure that they were more presentable. All of those sorts of things. This culture was already setting up the dominoes to remove yourself from self acceptance, remove yourself from your inner beauty, remove yourself from the ability to see yourself for what you actually are, and see yourself based on the worth that the culture has established on you, and then you going and appropriating yourself and positioning yourself into it. You're creating your own pigeonhole and creating your own trauma narrative because the culture has forced you or is making you to succumb to it. And again, this isn't nobody's fault. This is just what America's doing. Uh, and so, yeah, the culture has doing this, and the culture does it. Here's the trick of the culture: the culture slowly chips away at the self-esteem by selling convenience. Selling convenience. It's a trick. Modernity, as we're experiencing, is a trick. You know, anybody who's a part of this, you know, continuum of stream of thought, we already know that this is a paradox. We know that we got all this extra technology and all of this stuff because we are at an extreme far off level of naturalism. Like we done got so far away from that I say it on during all my videos. I could talk to you right now and you are way over somewhere else. Like that's not natural. Now, of course, whether it's good or bad, that's neither here nor there. But to say that we are not straining ourselves and straining our environments, that's just not noticing what actually is. Technological advancements and all of these things that we have are actually stressing everybody out. It's stressing the earth out. It stresses the human psyche out because we now have access to things that go faster than us. And so instead of us just simply keeping up with the normal fluctuations of nature, the normal fluctuations of the day, the normal fluctuations of consciousness as it umbrellas over humans, we actually have a new element of consciousness to work with. And that element of consciousness is bigger, faster, stronger, and we have to maintain and keep up. And so, because of doing so, that maintain, keep up culture, our mentality creates trigger after trigger after trigger whenever you don't get up to snuff, whenever you can't make it to that next level. And so, again, the culture of convenience plays into the traumatization of all people, but like I say, for the black woman. Like I said, I made the reference of the wigs and things of that nature. The selling, black women did not get to this place where we're in 2020, where they literally can't go outside without a wig as a direct consequence of, oh, I don't feel good about myself. That's not what happened. What happened was in the mid to late 90s, weave was starting to be sold and marketed as a convenience to obtain the American standard of what a black woman should look like. Black women had trouble growing their hair to the lengths to match white women and Spanish women, have it waving all in the wind because you had to chemically do that. You had to chemically ruin your hair to make it do so. So the vast majority of black women could not grow their hair like a white woman and get it all down to their shoulders. You know, you could get it, but it's probably only finna be like here. You already know how that goes, right? So, because black women, and again, self esteem slowly being chipped away because cultural norms are still being pushed further and further more, they're still being pushed. Black women start to go ahead and apply weave. Now, I directly remember because I was alive when all of this stuff was happening. When that stuff initially came out, black women pushed against it. Black women was like, oh, you a sellout. Like, you can't grow your hair like that. You ain't finna put that on. Nah, if I'm finna do it, I'm just gonna wear a wig because I'm not finna sew this into my head. What is all of this? Like, I'm either finna wrestle with this perm or I'm finna rock my actual hair. I'm actually be what I am. And I'm not gonna use any extra stop gaps. I'm not gonna cheat the system, so to speak. And so black women at large was hella resistant to weave. Hella resistant to weave. They was not doing it. Black women were clowning other black women for putting it in. They was like, really? Like, yo, she tripping. Like, yo, do you see that stupid thing? Like, the guy sitting on top of her head. Like, I remember all of this stuff. Fast forward 20 years, here we are today, where It's an industry now. It's a $1 billion industry selling these wigs, selling these weaves, selling all of this stuff. And who controls those industries? Not black women. Asian women, Spanish women, excuse me, not Spanish, just the two different types of Asians, Far East Asia and the Indian Asian. They dominate the controlling of the image of what a black woman should look like. Just think on that for 2 seconds. And so, yeah, we do have a lot. And so now we've reached the space to where, again, this whole keeping up with the culture, keeping up with the norms, to where if you don't have the latest wig, if you don't have purple hair now, if you don't have the XYZ enhancement, you don't look good no more. Get on Instagram, get on Twitter. All these women, again, not all, because of course there's all these natural hair pages and all of that. Of course, we have all of that, but we're talking about the masses. When we talk about the masses, it's wigs galore. It's Kardashian lookalikes galore. It's hair all down the back galore. It's waist trained up, doctored up waist galore. The whole thing has pigeonholed a standard that don't look nothing like a black woman. And because black women now are indebted to this culture, or at least believe that they're indebted to this culture, because here's the last part. Because black women believe that they're indebted to this culture, they force themselves to acquiesce. So where does the belief come from? It was shown through the symbol of the dark skinned girl. I forget these characters' names, but the dark skinned girl who was sleeping with the oh, I know it expects it. Oh, trust me, I know it affects everybody. But I say, but this episode is about women. So I'm talking about what the episode is showing us, because again, a lot of people don't see the occult narratives. Because this the whole thing is about the biggest triggers that women have. Because the show is really about women, because women are the goddesses, are the gateways to the other side. Like, we don't get nowhere without a black woman. So anybody who disagrees, they just don't know what, how transferring through dimensions work. So got to get over yourselves, fellas. But like I said, the way that is attacking women, because the culture keeps moving. Black women feel that they are indebted to this culture. And it was shown through the black girl who's sleeping with that white girl, who could transform into a man. She, if you saw the part, she did the whole thing where she was sitting there all defeated and distraught. She took the potion, turned into the white woman, slept with old buddy, and all of the stuff came off. And then after they were done having sex, she was basically begging him. She's like, I want you to feel what I feel. They took one of us away from our community. I need you to feel something. Like, she's sitting up there begging and pleading with this white girl. Why don't you feel what I feel? Now, go back to that scene and go back to what she said. Nothing about what she said was, I'm going to stand up and leave this situation because this is BS, because I know you don't feel what I feel. I'm going to go away from this because I know I need to be around my people, and being cooped up around you ain't helping no situation. No, what did she say? I need you to feel what I'm feeling, and then period. The reason why it was like that is because she didn't want to leave. She didn't want to leave that white man woman. She did not want to leave the new level of access to the world that she got. She did not want to leave the new level of money that she had got introduced to. She did not want to leave her first world accommodations that she has now been presented with. And so she's stuck in a dilemma where she has now given herself a new level of life by the hands of the white man, the same white man that don't give a about you in real life, don't give any F's about you, but will give you the platform to stand on as a courtesy, as just a simple courtesy, because they adore what you look like and want you around for peer view, for at least being able to see, and more importantly, to ultimately manipulate you and to drain your magic. Because that's what the show is about. The white girl is going to try to be immortal, and she's draining these black people's energy by giving them access to things that they didn't even know they already had, tricking them, draining all of their life force so that they could be immortal when we already are. But because it's like the show is showing us, we done became so human. We done became so indebted to this culture. We done became so diluted by all of the things around us, stimulating us. We gotta have it. We gotta keep up with it. We gotta keep da 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 da. Da. Most of us have completely departed away from the magic, completely departed away from literally the left, excuse me, the right side of the brain that shows a gateway to the actual dark side where these creatures are living that we're seeing on these shows, that the creatures are living. All of it gets turned off because you got to go to work. You got to go be American and put on your nicest, most eloquent outfit. Like, and this affects everybody. This ain't just like black women in the Matrix. This is American. Think about all the people who put on, they woke and they do all of that stuff. They woke, they get braids all the way down their back. They put on 14 different Afrocentric chains. They got on 8 different unks. They got on the most exquisite fabric bright colored fabric that they can find. Like, that's American. That is American. If we're gonna be woke and be naturalists and return to Africa, all of that type of stuff, you throw all of this shit away and you go back to a natural lifestyle. Like, most of us see natural lifestyle in these Africa pictures when we see people doing stuff in either the huts or we see them doing stuff in like a third world class, and we immediately go, oh hell no, I ain't doing none of that. How many black folks go outside, especially women? Again, I'm saying it again, not an attack. This is the culture, just how it's set up. How many black women will literally go outside and go camping? Like, go actually be and sit in nature. Will go outside with no shoes on, for Christ's sake. Like, who will get in a body of water and actually allow their hair to get wet? Like, actually allow the antennas go touch the water so that they can go be recharged and recycled and allow new messages to come through. Like, we are nature's people, the dust of the earth, and the vast majority of us don't want to even touch the earth. We think it's dirty now. We go buy the most exquisite, expensive shoes that we can do so that we don't have to have our feet touch the earth. Like, we put on all of this extra shit, go buy the nicest car, go try to get the nicest house because we literally don't want to be outside anymore. And we are the earth people. We are the ones who go outside, the sun hits us, and shit's supposed to help us grow like trees. But we are so indebted to this modern culture, we don't even want that no more. This is the trick of how this whole thing is happening, and it's making us more and more and more human and less and less of gods. So again, going back to the same thing in that conversation, she begged and pleaded for that white woman to care because she thought that if she could make the white woman care, the white woman would actually open up the floodgates and let her into her life completely and they could live in harmony together. But she also had to realize that the shit ain't finna happen. I'm either gonna have to choose live this fake life where I'm just appropriating myself to whiteness, modernity, da 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 da, or leave all of my people behind who are getting screwed over left and right. Now, the girl said the biggest part. The white girl said the biggest part. She said, "You don't care about none of them. You don't even care about me. What you really care about is your own security." She hit her with the truth. And that actually is the truth. Every last one of us, we don't give a shit about no Emmett Till. We don't give a shit about Breonna Taylor. We don't give a shit about none of that. What we give a shit about is how the image of Breonna Taylor affects our daily life. It's about you. Most women are pissed off about Breonna Taylor because most black women want to be a Breonna Taylor. Not most, that's not nice because again, this is an attack on women. I will talk about the situation where the type of women who are Breonna Taylors, nobody wants to talk about the fact that she is the type of person that is what the culture has created. She's the face of what America has created. She is a black woman who is participating in the advances that have been given to her. She's supposed to be working this good ass job, all right? In the process of doing so, she has acquiesced. You see all the images that go around. That ain't no natural hair. That's a wig. That is a woman who's severely overweight. But the culture be propping up women like that because of fat asses and things of that nature. That is a cultural control. That is not a healthy person, though. And additionally, she's also diluted in her mind to where that she's supporting a dude who don't do no good for her. She's supporting a dude that is destroying the community. She's supporting a dude that is doing obvious criminal activity that's gonna get them over, but she participates in it anyway because her self-esteem is not even in a place to actually tell him to stop, or in a place to go get another dude that is not doing this type of activity that's going to get somebody killed. This is the whole thing. Most black women have had their nurturer aspect, their just innate nurturer aspect, corrupted by the culture of America. The nurture aspect is supposed to help nurture things that are developing. When you nurture a plant and a seed, you're nurturing something that has almost a guaranteed potential to blossom into something because it's doing something productive. Most black women turn away or feel insecure when they get around those type of men. And a lot of times they find themselves approaching men that are beneath them, either culturally, linguistically, financially, or in this case, morally, so to speak. And they all of that nurture energy and to try to build up this unsavory character, build up this person, and have a onus over. Look, girl, look what I did. Yeah, he was in the streets. Now he better. Oh, look, girl, da, 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 now he different because of me, because of what I did, because I was the person, the change agent in his life, and I turned his life around. Women are looking to have that type of validation. And they're putting, again, the corruption is they're putting all of this into a man. You're supposed to put that into the children. You're supposed to put all of that. Let me care for you. Let me step in for you. Let me go rent this car for you and put it in my name while you go put bodies on it to help put us in trouble. You're supposed to cover for your children because your children don't have the mentality to know better. So that's when children get in trouble and do stupid shit. That's when the nurturer kicks in and then you cover for them. You don't cover for Breonna Taylor's boyfriend because when you do, you end up like her. You end up as the accessory to something that is going to fuck up the community. Or not even say community, your own individual cause. You were so caught up by the Americanness of all of this thing, you forget about your own self. That's what was happening when old girl was begging and pleading that white woman to give a fuck. And in the process, she had to realize that she didn't give a fuck about the community either. She only cared about her own self. And that own self, one aspect is good, of course, because you have to take care of yourself. But the other side is directly played into this American culture. Because if anybody knows anything about melanated people, we are communal. We actually prefer to be around each other. We actually prefer to affirm each other. We actually prefer to do things in a group kind of way. But American culture is about individualism, doing it yourself, getting it your own way, being your own boss. How many times have we now heard black women preaching these things as a norm? Like that's what they are doing now as the norm. And they're calling themselves bosses and this, that, and the third, but most of the positions that they have are indebted to the white man that gave it to them. And so now they're in a moral dilemma of begging and pleading the white man to care. That's what all this marching is. That's what all this voting is. That's what all this going to church and begging and pleading for the Lord to do is. Next scene. She goes, after all of that, wrestling and they doing all of that, old girl gets into it with Tick. And she's all like, oh, this is the devil. This magic stuff's the devil. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Same triggers with black folks in America now. Vast majority of black folks are Christian. Vast majority of black folks have no idea that that is a control religion. They have no idea that that's simply a control religion used to help stimulate the exact same narratives of triggers that exist in America. Your Christian triggers and your Christian ways, they fall directly in line with the stuff that America uses to upset you. They're giving you fuel for the fire for you to go pray over every week. And the same thing, just like we saw on the show. She's sitting there praying, she's begging, she's in a lower vibration, she's all hurt and worried. She's begging to a God that ain't saying nothing back to her. Here come the witch, walks in, gives her a potion, boom, spiritual activity happens on her body immediately. But no, that's the devil. No, seeing power actually happen, that's not what's supposed to happen. Like, that's not what it's supposed to be. What do you think you're doing when you're praying? You're attempting to accomplish what just happened in an instant. But because you were given this culturally based and mandated idea of what you even think spirit is and spirituality is, you don't even use your power to do nothing. You use your power to pray and then don't do nothing. Like, that is, again, directly into the American way. Why do you think we do all of this marching, but we actually don't go shoot the police? We do all of this praying, but we don't go actually take out the judges. Like, and again, I'm not inciting none of that type of stuff. Don't use my page as some type of inspiration for violence. But I am saying that if necessary things need to be done, especially for the community, what we are doing is completely powerless because we are operating it on the American culturally mandated way that we think we supposed to be getting this shit done. And it's the begging and pleading the powers that be to give a fuck. And they're never going to, because why would they? It doesn't even make any relative sense. I don't care about what some Chinese man is doing in China right now. What difference does that make to me? I can't do nothing to help him. And if I tried, I'm going to waste so much of my own time in an attempt to do so. That's why white people are in the space that they're in. They give a crap enough, yeah, oh, that's bad, but they're not going to forfeit their own lives. They're not going to trade places with us. And most of us are acting like that's what they're supposed to do. And most of us are begging and pleading and voting and things, thinking that that's how it's supposed to be. No, this is America. This is the country that they built for themselves, and we just in this mug. So to operate in it, you need to operate with the freedom of your own consciousness. So you have to get to the freedom of your own consciousness by dealing with these traumas. You have to deal with these traumas. You have to deal, and here's the thing, these traumas come from the cultural norms that we are given that we think are right. There's no such thing as right whatsoever. But there is right for the culture that you're in. So this culture that we're in, black men supposed to be with black women. Black men are supposed to be protectors. Black men ain't supposed to be gay. Big three. They do it in the same three continuum. They keep hitting us with these same three things every episode. They hit us with it every time. They show a black man not protecting or inability to do so. They show a black man kissing on another man. And they show, the black man is being like dispowered in some form. Like, they keep showing you that because one, most of us are triggered by that stuff. That's first off. Most of us, again, have become Christians. And so we all sitting here thinking that the moment that you see something gay happen, that close the book, that's it, that person's done, their life is over, they're obsolete. That's a Christian way of living. We done totally walked away from our communal shamanistic way of living, where 9 times out of 10, if we was in Africa still, the person who we went to for a confession, for a potion to go speak to the ancestors on our behalf, that was a cross-dressing, androgynous, gay person. Like, 9 times out of 10, that's who it was. And 9 times out of 10, that was the person who had the highest value of respect and esteem in their community. Well, how do we have those people set in America? Especially in the black community, at the bottom. Especially if it's a man. He is all the way at the bottom. And they keep flashing these images at us because they need us to, well, again, on a human level, if you're still operating at a human level, you're going to see that, you're going to be triggered, and then boom, they already got you where they want you. But if you're trying to operate on this God level, on this occult level, you have to see that they're showing us how to heal. Because right in that same space, when they went back to the dad and tick, they furthered that conversation. They didn't just leave the trigger on the dresser of him getting caught with a man and, oh my God, what the hell does this mean? And da-da-da-da-da. They faced it and they talked about it. And in the process of talking about it, you got the revelation of how humans actually act and what love actually is. Love, what it actually is before this American Christian ideal of love was given to us. Love is about the community and the family. It is about not being alone. It is about having someone there with you who's going to make sure that you don't fall off your own emotional, spiritual wagon. Someone who's going to be there with you so you can get through this slog called life. true, authentic love. Most of us have no idea what that is like. Most of us have the Christian version of monogamy. I'm supposed to be with this one singular person. It's supposed to fulfill all of my needs. And da 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 da. Where's that one person at? Where's my one soulmate at? This person doesn't exist. And so as you continually go through this false narrative of expectation of what a narrative of what that person is, 9 times out of 10, most of us have already met a soulmate energy person. We have sent them away because we don't like something that doesn't fit the American expectation of what we already put on them. Especially if it's a black man and he has some type of tendencies, like type of thing. Like that dude, why do you think the whole DL culture exists? Like there's this whole thing about DL culture that exists of black men who love black women, want to be with black women, but they do have a certain side of themselves and they know that they can't say a word. Because the moment they say a word, they ain't finna get no more access to women whatsoever. Just like old buddy in the show. He's like, bro, like, I don't want to be put in a straitjacket and fucking being beaten to death because I have urges. Like, what? So you know what? I'm gonna just go have a family then. Like, and we're seeing here too, though, that you're seeing, because it's part about these norms. Like, the biggest thing about the gay side of stuff is that most people be like, well, if person's gay, that's the end of the gene pool, and they're killing all of us anyway, so we gotta stop the gays because the gays ain't having no babies. Like, that's not true. Like, do you know how many gay people have kids? Like, a lot of them. Like the person that we saw on the show. Like, being gay doesn't actually mean that you are not eligible up to pass on DNA. It just means that's what you are in this body. So, and again, like, I'm spending a whole lot of time on this subject, on this part, because again, this is dealing with the direct human triggers that a culture has. And these cultures, and like I say, these cultural triggers, they mess with the women the most. And women complain, especially by that. And they live in extreme bias because most of them like to go do goofy, weird shit with women. But a dude literally can't even explain himself in the exact same human context, because this is human context, to do the exact same thing. So the healing has to go forth and the conversation has to be made to get all of us back to authenticness, our authentic, raw animal nature. Our authentic, raw animal nature, the monster, the occult part of us, this hidden part of us that we keep trying to shut off so that we can have more access to more shit. That is a part of us that's the only way that's going to continue to empower us. And so we have to work on those triggers and let them go. Because, you know, like I said, if you on here, you looking for love, like you probably didn't met a dude and he probably left and you don't know why he left. It's probably because he already knew he couldn't unveil himself to you, because in the first few minutes of talking to you, he already saw that you're human. You operating on the white man's terms. You don't even know about your own culture no more. And most of us don't even want to hear about it. Like when we tell them about ancient culture and all of this other stuff, and all of this other stuff that we used to do in Africa, like 2/3 of Negroes are gonna denounce it and they're gonna be glad that they're American now. And so that's this whole thing that we're dealing with, and that's what this episode was showing us. You have been programmed, and this show is directly right into the program. So yeah, to bring it all the way back now, until you face these triggers and you face these non-true demons, they're gonna continue to haunt you, just like they haunted old girl. We're gonna see the resolution on how to face our demons on the next episode, because as we saw, when she tried to face her demons, or at least, yeah, when she tried to face her demons without the proper execution, it caused more destruction. You saw when she finds like, fuck it, I'm gonna go face these demons. She stood there, she picked up a human weapon, whatever that little thing was, and she's just swinging away. She ain't hit nothing. And old buddy walks in, the whole room is destroyed, and she's still just swinging away. That's how most of us end up in these traumatic situations with relationships. That's how we end up with jobs we don't like. That's how we end up with no money in our pocket. That's how we end up with shit just continually happening to us over and over again. It is because many of us are not facing our demons, and we're addressing them on these human terms. We thinking if we just go get into another relationship, we think if I just go get another job, if I finally get some money, if we we continue to operate like that, we're just going to continue to bring more destruction, more bullshit, more chaos in the bad form. Uh, and it's just not going to bring any healing to anybody involved. And so we got to go through the process of releasing all of these triggers, releasing all of these American based, Western based expectations of what we think life is and success is, what body image is, all of that. Because you're not even human. If anything, take a lesson from the white girl who keeps transforming into this white man. Like, go back and continue to watch that. Go back and continue to watch that conversation when she was like, I've been trying to show you this whole time that you are powerful. I've been trying to show you this whole time that you could be whatever you want. I've been trying to show you this whole time that you could do whatever you want. Like, that's what the white girl man has been showing the other chick this whole time. But she doesn't know how to be that because she's still triggered in being black. She's still triggered by the Emmett Till. She's still triggered by the gay niggas. She's still triggered by not being protected. There we go, the last one. Not being protected. Not even realizing you could just go do some magic and protect yourself. So, anywho, American culture, how they got black women hemmed up, how they got all of us hemmed up. But the triggers, the big three triggers for black women, and how to heal those so that the culture can potentially move forward. Dope show, man. Dope show. Super amazing show. Best show on TV. Learn how to be a god, yo. Watch this show and decode. Watch this show and decode. Work on stop giving a crap about what somebody else is doing. Don't matter what it looked like. That's their personal journey. Love it, honor it, and work on your own. Peace, family.